So it's December, it's the last month of the year, and we are optimistic about what 2025 has in store for us. But to kind of give you a snapshot of where we are today, in the North Arc of Atlanta, the Roswell, Milton, Alpharetta that I always focus on in terms of these numbers, we are sitting around 458 actives on the market, and that is down from about 530. And that's kind of been the consistent for the past few months, where we're kind of hovering within that mid 500s. So we're down in inventory. I've definitely seen homes moving, and right now we're sitting at about a month, 1.3, 1.4 months worth of inventory. So again, still relatively low, pretty consistent from what we've seen like all year. I will say that inventory is taking longer to sell, it's sitting, but since the election, we've seen a big push. Not surprising that we haven't had a ton come on the market because of the holidays, because of the election. It's just the seasonality component. People don't feel that their home show as well during the winter months and the dead seasons as it does in the spring. So there could be a little bit of a pause on that in terms of more inventory coming. But I will say the conversations I've been having with people, quite a few lately, about them initiating their moves, whether buying or selling, and that they tend to get more serious about it in January. So I do think that the market's picking up. I do think that there is some kind of, we know what's happened with the election. We know what's kind of coming. There's some of that mysteriousness and what if scenarios that have kind of been played out as we said that they would. Everybody gets a little frantic for a minute, and then that goes away, and then you move on. So we're in that moving on period. We have the holidays in front of us, and I feel like there are definitely buyers out there. The interest rates have come down a little bit, but those could pop up again. You never know. I think generally speaking, when we're looking at 2025, we're going to look at slow to moderate appreciation. I think it's not going to be these huge jumps for now. I mean, anything could change. If the interest rates plummet, which I don't see them happening, obviously we could get a good push in the market because there's definitely buyers out there. But the number one key factor that we've been talking about and continue to talk about is affordability. And affordability is really what's going to drive our market going into 2025. It would be great if inflation would get under control, if people start seeing relief in their day-to-day needs. That may also put people in a more comfortable position to make a housing decision based on what they think they can get for their home if they're selling, what the equity is. Does that outweigh the cost of ownership of the new home? And I think that that's really what we've been balancing now for at least this year, and probably even starting into 2023 a little bit. As we're bouncing around with interest rates, they are expected to come down, but all predictions look like they're going to stay in the sixes. It'd be great if they were into the high fives. I think optimistically, maybe we'll see that, but I really do think that for planning purposes, if you're waiting for interest rates to drop, it's back into the fives, fours, whatever, you might be waiting a long time and it may never happen. So that's probably not the best strategy in terms of waiting. What I would say is finding a home that fits your needs, and there's more homes, like I said, available. They're sitting longer, so there's still negotiations that can be made. Sellers, if you're looking at selling, I really still think it's a good opportunity to sell and make the most of your money, but you are going to have to do some work. I feel like when we talk about this, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it really is important to prepare your home for sale, because I have seen it from both sides, the buying side and the selling side. You can have a great bone structure, and if it doesn't look right, if it's not compelling to a buyer, sometimes they don't have the money to put into it. Maybe they don't have the energy. Not everyone has the vision of what it can be. And so you really need to take away and make it clear for those people to see, and then you can, easily sell. But if you're going to think about selling in a few years and there's some updates and things that you'd like to make, I would say do it now so you can enjoy it. Enjoy the investment you have, and then sell it later down the road after you've kind of gotten your use out of it. I also feel like more people have gotten comfortable in the past 12 months of just, is this the home that we're going to stay in and renovate and live in, or do we really need to make a change? And I think there was a lot of uncertainty between rates and what was going on and all the different scenarios in the world. And I think that, whether you have to go back to the office, whether you're going to be able to work from home, who's going to enforce what, there's just a lot of things I think took some people to kind of figure out in time and prepare. So if you were thinking about selling your home and moving or buying a home, maybe you had some time to adjust financially to say, well, here's what that would really look like and feel like, and pay yourself that money to see if you could live comfortably in that world. And if you haven't done that, I suggest doing that, because then you're trying before you're really out there faced with that decision every day. But it's just one of those things where I feel like people have got more comfortable. So I've had more conversations with people lately who do plan on making a change next year. They feel like this is going to be the year for them to do so. So I think all of those things sound like are signaling a positive response to what's coming. The other predictions have been, we were roughly, I think, landing around 3.9 to maybe 4 million homes for sale that's actually sold nationally this year. And I think next year they're predicting like 4.3 or 4.5. So the predictions and the projections are that we are going to see a better market than this year, but still not going to rival the previous 3 to 4 years. So I think normalcy, affordability, all those things are what we can look forward to in 2025. I've had several conversations with people just in the industry related to real estate. So it's lenders, it's realtors, it's just anybody kind of tied to inspectors. I mean, anybody kind of tied to the real estate market. And it's the common question when someone finds out you're in this business, how's the market? How's your business been this year? And 9 out of 10 times I will say that I've heard a lot of responses that are in the negative. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there. And something to keep in mind, and I think everybody needs to keep in mind, is it's been rough for some people this year. It has been a rough time. It's not your normal. It's not what people have been used to. There are people who've been in this business 5 years or less, and all they've seen is the glory days. They've never seen a market that wasn't super, reactive and responsive. So they didn't really know what those steps should be. But today, it's different. And for those who've been in the business long enough, this is a cycle. And it's just a new cycle. Everything shall come and pass. It does. It comes in waves. Everything will be fine. It's just, this is the cycle of this. And a note to the people in this world who are in this business, plan. This is when when you go through your great times, you have to put your money aside. You have to set aside to plan for the next downturn. So, yes, there are ebbs and flows with this industry, like every industry, but this is nowhere near what we went through in 08 and 09. This is just a slower market. And so things will come back. Everything will be fine. There's no crash in sight. This is simply a matter of, there was a ton of activity for a couple of years, and now there isn't a ton of activity. Not that that's because it's not due to predatory lending. It's not due to economic factors like everybody's lost all their home value so they can't move. It's simply a fact of affordability, and people made big moves. If you make big moves, you're not going to necessarily make big moves every 2 years. It's going to be something where we have a longer period of time. Historically speaking, now it used to be 5 to 7 years people would move. Now it's like 10 years. So people are staying in their homes longer. They planned ahead for some of those things. So the turnover may not be as great. And I think that's important for all people to realize, because that is why there isn't a ton of inventory on the market. That is why people aren't selling, they're investing in their homes. It's also why home improvement companies, and remember, they're making a ton of money and they're booked forever because people are investing and staying where they're put. It's cheaper to do that. It's more affordable. And again, it all goes back to affordability. So those are just, hang in there. We'll all be okay. Just know that this is not doom and gloom, and it'll be fine. And it's really exciting to see 2025 is like right around the corner. We're knocking on its door, and it'll be a different day.